Another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, we have the privilege of coming to you to talk about money, life, and everything else. We say on this show that money encompasses everything. And we always try to tackle all the topics that we believe truly are relevant and timely. Beginning of the year, actually the end of last year, I had sent an email to all the friends who are faithful watchers of the show. And also I had posted it on my Facebook page asking, what would you like to discuss this year in 2024? And a few of my viewers had said, you know what, let's have a conversation about business. How do you start a business? How does it work? What are some of the success rates and the failure rates of business? So I wanted to take the time today to talk about business, but we titled the topic tonight as Minding Your Business Matters, because we believe everything matters and we feel like minding your business matters. And we're going to dive into why we feel like minding your business matters today. So without further ado, I do have two friends scheduled to be on the show tonight. One of them is running a little behind schedule. Hopefully she'll be able to make it on time. But at the end of the day, we are here to talk to you. Oh yeah, I think she's on now. We want to have a conversation with you, and we want to have a conversation with our guests who are online, because they're both business ladies and they have been in business for a while, and they have so much to share and so much that they can, many experiences that they can share with you tonight. So why don't we have Dr. Regine? Dr. Regine Filippo, thank you so much for being on tonight. It's so amazing. Let me just say one thing. In business, you always have to make decisions, right? Strategic decisions, everyday decisions. Every single day we have to make decisions. And today I was getting on and I'm like, what should I wear? Should I wear dangler or should I wear a small earring? And I decided, well, you know what? Sometime in business, you have to decide on both, right? What works best, it depends, right? If I go this way, it might be the best thing for somebody or somebody else. So it's always fun. I thought it would be a fun thing to have two different earrings on. So it wasn't a mistake. I did it purposely because of the fact that in business, you constantly having to make decisions. And this is definitely one of those decisions that I had to make today. So yeah, why don't we say hello to Dr. Regine, and then thank you, Dee, for coming on. Yes, you are on to have this awesome discussion. Yes, Dr. Regine, please introduce yourself quickly.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Regine Filippo. Just really happy to be on again. I think this is my third time on with Gabrielle, and
Yeah.
you all know how much I admire her and her work.
Yeah.
I am the Chief Executive Officer of Attest Education, which I will talk to you a little bit more about. And in the past, when I've come on, I've talked to you about Dessalines STEAM Academy. I'm also the co-founder of Dessalines STEAM Academy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Yeah, I know you have a couple slides that you wanted me to show. Let me know when that is a good time for you. And Dee, yes, Blue Mermaid, Dee, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Gabrielle. Hi, Dr. Regine. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dee Victoria Hill by profession. I'm an occupational therapist. I am also the president and owner of Blue Mermaid Gourmet Restaurant and Blue Mermaid Gourmet product lines. Um, I've met Gabrielle actually on Positivity Feminine.
Yes.
She is an amazing role model for females, especially Black females who want to get into business, who want to understand how to manage finances and how to make smart financial decisions. So, of course, we clicked right away.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to be here with you guys tonight.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. I just wanted to say quickly, we had posted, it says according to the US Census Bureau, on average in America, 4.4 million businesses start every year. 4.4 million. Can you imagine? So 4.4 million people are saying, or, a group of people saying like, oh, I would like to start a business. In 2023, just last year, the average monthly business startup was 429,000. Yeah, last year, 429 individuals, groups, you name it, decided to open up a business. Perhaps you were one of them, Dee, because your Blue Mermaid restaurant opened up last year, right? I mean, I know you have other business, but I don't know if that was when you officially opened up the restaurant branch of it, if it's separate. But before you say anything, let me tell you, unfortunately, the gloomy part of all this, is the fact that the Small Business Administration says that 50% of new businesses don't survive the first 5 years. After the first 5 years, many of them, 50% go out of business. And within 10 years, only 30%. So 10 businesses open, 3 will survive 10 years. So we know it's not for the faint of heart. It's very challenging. It's one of those things that, the American dream, we say this is the land of opportunity. Everybody comes here, or those who are born here are looking to take advantage of all the opportunities that this country has, and one of which is the opportunity to be an entrepreneur, right? To start your own business, because we all believe that we will be the one to make it big, because we've seen the stories and we've seen so many companies that have made it big, those who have survived and thrived. So yeah, with that being said, I know it sounds gloomy, but I mean, what does it really take to start a business? Now, you just started your restaurant. Dee, what is it that you have that most people who just have a job have?
So I actually started Blue Mermaid Gourmet back in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
but it was never official. I learned a lot
Uh-huh.
and grew and started making smarter decisions.
Uh-huh.
So it became a legal business in every sense as of 2018.
Okay.
And so my 5-year plan was to transition into a restaurant. And
Okay.
exactly on the day we turned 5 years old, I turned it into a restaurant. So it's very important to actually have a business plan. It's
Yeah.
so important. You have to have goals, you have to have a real plan, and you have to also have an exit strategy when you have a business.
Yeah.
So it's not just
We
creating a business.
actually gonna talk about a lot of that, but in terms of like, what does it really take in terms of personality? The very first question we have, like, what does it take? How come you decided, Dr. Regine? Like, you could have gone to work for somebody else. What did it take for you as a person, your personality, to actually go and decided, I'm gonna open up a school? What does it take?
Well, I could say it takes guts.
Mhm.
But the truth is that it takes planning.
Uh-huh.
So, and this is, I think, something you were saying, Dee. I had been planning my business for 3 years before I even started it. So I was planning it while still actively working for someone else. And I have two businesses, right? I have a nonprofit and I have
Uh-huh.
a test education. So it also takes research, um, and it takes, for example, how I got a test education started is I got a grant from New Schools Venture Fund. And without that grant, I would not have been able to be up and running right now.
Yeah.
Um, and I was very, very scared. So there's the part where you have to be organized, you have to plan, the idea of having a business plan,
Mhm.
you have to understand and do research. But also, I said to myself, when we talk about having this exit strategy, I said to myself, it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? I was still in a pretty lucrative, at least for an educator, lucrative position. And still in it, right? I began my business.
Yeah.
And so I was able to try it out, learn. As Dee said, you're much further along than I am.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years in, a year and a half in.
Yeah.
But I was able to do all of that while still working.
Yeah, yeah. When I think about what does it really take, I know that it might sound simple, but you have to have an idea. You have to have a new idea. You have to have something that's gonna meet a need. And I know when I spoke to you not too long ago, Dr. Regine, you mentioned that you saw a need in the community to educate Black and Brown children who were underrepresented, who were not getting the opportunities that you had experienced, having had the opportunity to work to go to school in Ivy League's environment. And so you do have to have an idea, because if you go into business and you have an idea, you don't have something that's gonna meet a need, usually that's the reason why it doesn't work. Would you agree, Dee?
100%. So one of the first steps is what I call a needs assessment. You have to assess your community and your environment and see what's needed, because ultimately you're providing a service. You have to think of who is your ideal clientele, who is the recipient of the service you're providing, why do they need it, what needs they have. You're going to bring the solution to that need. If there's no need, why do you exist? And also, there's something called passion. You have to have
Yeah.
a passion for what you do. You
Okay.
don't do something because the next person does it.
Yeah.
If you don't have that same drive, believe it or not, people will pick up, because the little details in how you approach something will communicate to people the passion behind it, because you're going to be meticulous with certain things, almost to the point of obsession, because you know that little difference you make is what's going to make or break you, because that's where you saw the need for something. I have a restaurant.
I was going to add to that because, again, I had spent almost over 20 years in my career, and I was in a pretty comfortable position working for a district. And so when I saw the need that I saw was that there were lots of lots of schools that were well-resourced, rich communities who were able to give their students and their families a kind of education that we only dream of.
Correct.
The folks that were getting the education in the poorer communities were getting very didactic in education. So that was the need. I didn't always know how to go about it though. Like,
Correct.
what business do I start? And right, and whether or not people would be interested in that. And so that was part of me planning and trying, like in terms of the needs assessment, trying to understand where is this market. And the other thing it takes is, when I say research, like I had to understand what the heck is market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. I think it's so important, going back again to what does it really take to start a business. And we just celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. And we all know, very familiar with that, have a dream. You gotta have you have to be passionate about that dream. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna be experiencing hardships. I know I've had conversation like recently when I spoke to you, Dee, I said, how things going? You're like, oh yeah, it could be better. You know, when you are in the valley experiencing hardships in your business, you have to know why you started it. You have to have that passion. Without that passion, doesn't matter how much research and all the money, it's not gonna work. You have to have the passion, because life will happen to you. Now, you had mentioned, like, you've been in the industry, you were a teacher or in the education setting for 20 years. And Dee, you were not even in the food and service industry, but you gradually got into that. Can you start a business with no experience at all? Is
Actually,
it possible?
I'll tell you this. Actually, I've been in the industry my whole entire life.
Okay.
My mom is a chef.
Oh,
So
okay.
she studied under Michel Guérard in the south of France. She went to school here in New York, did her externship over there. When she came back, she actually was employed by the New York Marriott Marquis from the first day they opened, and she only retired when they closed during COVID. She's like, I'm 70 years old. I'll call it quits now. So what happens is, when I was little, every time she's going to work, I go with her and stay in the marquee until it's time to go to work. And then, I mean, to go to school, then I would go to school. And eventually I worked there every summer. So I've always worked in the food industry as a young teenager and stuff growing up. And then my mom also had a catering business on the side, and I always catered with her. So I've always been parallel to the industry and involved in some ways, but I didn't want to do what my mom did. I wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So, I went to school. I went to school for clinical psychology. I did it. I got bored. I went to school for nursing. I did it. I got bored. I went to school for occupational therapy. I love it. And I'm like, you know what? my passion is in cooking.
Yeah.
And I really want to feed people because I stopped eating at restaurants. I couldn't do it. It's just I saw so many things that were wrong. It's sometimes, when you have too much knowledge, it's not good because you
Yeah.
see all the wrong things. And I was like, okay, I need to make a difference. I need to open a restaurant that does what should be done. And so that's where my niche came in with healthy eating, better quality foods and stuff like that. And so I saw my niche there. So I've always been in the industry. So the passion was always there. You went through teenage years and rebelled and stuff and, find your way back. So it wasn't a hard transition for me. And I still do both equally. I still practice occupational therapy and I'm in the food industry for a long time, both, but the business aspect requires a lot of research, like Dr. Regine was just saying. And it's it's either you have the money to pay a coach or pay a business advisory board to help you, or you learn it. But even if you have the money to pay somebody to do something, I urge you to do the research, learn it for yourself. When you know what should be done and you employ somebody to do it, you know whether they're doing a good job or not. If you don't know what should be done, they can
Yeah.
do whatever.
So you definitely, it did help, right, Dr. Regine, that uh, you had some experience in the industry and you're familiar, you had already seen what you didn't like and you were ready. But I mean, I love the fact that you said it's always good to get a mentor. Did you get a mentor? Because you said, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how. Did you get a mentor or somebody who've done something similar? I'm sure there are so many private schools in the area. So did you have an opportunity to pick any brains?
Well, I want to say that I was blessed because in the field of education, there are several grants that are available. And though, yes, they're hard to get, but I encourage you, if you want to start a consulting business or an education business, go for these kinds of grants. So I received a pretty substantial grant from New Schools Venture Fund. And so they put me in a cohort of other business owners and other consultants, and we learned together. They also had, for those of us who wanted the opportunity to work with a consultant, they had that available. And so I'm working with a consultant from Ed Cheese right now who is helping me understand how to really grow my business. And so, and the other thing that I did is I reached out, networking is key if you're going to do consulting, right? So I've been networking and meeting new people who really care about the work that I do, people who really believe in the work that I do. And I met a retired CEO of a major IT company. And that person has now become my mentor.
That's great. It's very important. You both had mentioned that now you have the passion. Now you have something, you're following your dream, something that you really love, like, after years of schooling. No, 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 let me go back to what I love. And you are already in the industry because you were already, Dr. Regine, in the field of education. But once you have the business, you had mentioned that it's so important to have a written business plan. Because I know we mentioned on the show many times, you cannot run life without a business plan, a personal plan to know from point A. It's like the road map. Can you have a business? I know I worked in banking. The first thing they ask you, where's your business plan? Can you run a business, start a business? And the reason we're saying that is because so many people think that they can run a business without a business plan. What do you say about that, Dee?
I think having a business plan is pertinent because the first thing it does is it forces you to deal with the reality of what a business is. You have to answer some questions. You have to put it in paper and it has to make sense. So when it goes through your own filters, a lot of things won't make sense with what you're thinking. So that in itself will start to give you some direction. So it's important to do it. I've had quite a few acquaintances who said, I have a business plan and it's all here. No, it has to be real because when you go to the bank, they don't care about what's here, they care about what's on paper. So if you need a loan or you need investors, you're gonna need to have a business plan on paper.
Yeah. Did you work with somebody to get your business plan? The consultant that you're working with, Dr. Regine? Is that somebody who helped you with your business plan?
Um, for a test education, he's helping us with components of the business plan. So
Uh-huh.
listen, I'm gonna just be real here because Dee, you sound fabulous. I was not this intelligent about business
Uh-huh.
a year and a half ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, everyone's like, yeah, we're all doing it. Just start an LLC. It's gonna be great. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to just be mean about it. I think you should follow your dreams and your passion, but you need to be educated. And
Uh-huh.
that's what a business plan allows you to do, right? So the first thing is, okay, yeah, get a name, but what exactly is the service that you are providing? Being crystal clear about that. And
Yeah.
how does it match up with other businesses already doing that or not doing it, right? Where is your niche, as Dee talked about? And
Uh-huh.
how do you find these customers? How do you find what is that market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the quality of your product, I think, is the other thing that I had not necessarily thought about was because I have expertise. I've been in the field for 20x years. Of course, I have expertise. My products are wonderful. But then being able to test that out and pilot that so that you refine the product to the needs of the customer, of your clients. Those are all
Correct.
things I had to learn in the last year and a half. And so when you ask me the question, I do want to encourage people to try and to do it, but I want them to do it with open eyes
Open eyes and with support. Because
and
my
with
next
support.
question is at the end of the day, you have the idea, you have the passion, you have a business plan that you're working on, or it doesn't have to be final. A business plan can be a work in progress. It doesn't have to be something that, this is it. For the next 10 years, I know where we're heading. Especially if you know in business, it's a work in progress. You have to kind of tweak it and turn it and do whatever you need to do as you go. But
Gabrielle, can I just say this? Because I have an example of this right now.
uh,
And so I don't know if you could show the PowerPoint that
yeah.
I shared with you, because I want to share with your audience how I had to do some shifts.
Uh-huh.
Um,
This is it here.
yeah, so go if
The
you go to
first one.
the first slide.
Yeah.
So originally, um, I don't know, can you put in slideshow mode? So
Uh, I am,
because you're live.
yeah.
So if you could see the boxes underneath a test education, it says consultation and programs, it says books and resources, and then it says like an Etsy shop. So originally I just did the consultations. Why did I do the consultations? Because that's what people told me were my skill sets,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is it where they said that most businesses in education, this is what they do. I then had to really think deeply about what is it that I'm providing, I'm passionate about providing, and also where is there a dearth? Where is there a gap? And I said, there's not a gap in consultation for education, okay? There is a gap, though, around certain resources that are not available to teachers and to parents. And so
Mm-hmm.
we veered, right? That business plan shifted slightly. I still have the consultation and programs. I still work with school districts, but I also added, if you go to the second page,
Mm-hmm.
I also added a set of resources for parents, educators, and
Mm-hmm.
educators, right?
Yeah.
So we are growing, shifting and modifying our business plan. Refining is the word I'm looking for. We are refining our business plan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a work in progress, and I like that because at the end of the day, um, we wanna, I know, let me share a little bit with you, Dee. I know when I initially met you, you were running, Blue Mermaid. Where did I have Blue Mermaid here? I know I have, uh, I thought I had it ready to share, but, I'll look for it while we're talking. Blue Mermaid, I know you had shared the website with me. I've been sharing it online, and
Mhm.
you were doing made for order basically. You could call in. I know at one point I said, I cannot wait. I saw you in New York one time. I said, oh, I cannot wait to come back to order a cake from you, or the different drinks that you sell during the holidays, and the different appetizers that you mail to clients, right?
Yeah.
But for you to transition from that to a restaurant, it took a lot. It took a lot of gut. So I would like to mention again that when it comes time to execution, once you have the business plan, I do believe that it's so important to have strategic partnerships, right? Relationships. Now, for me, an attorney, someone who can help you set up, you had mentioned, open up an LLC. Is the LLC best for you? Open up, do this structure, that structure. You remember we said we're gonna do a question for the night? Right?
Yes.
A question for the night. So I know when I worked in banking, again, folks would come and say, I'm opening up a business, or whether it's a hairdresser or a restaurant, or I'm gonna do, I don't know, one of those multi-level marketing companies. Anything that you're doing, it's a business outside of a job, right? So, well, we'll talk about a hobby too, but a business. Your intention is to make money. Now, I would have folks come in, those excited innovators or the excited entrepreneurs, and they said like, Gabrielle, I'm not sure if I should get an LLC or a DBA. Did you have that question? Did you ask questions, D? Did you think about maybe you should get an LLC or a DBA? Like you weren't sure what to do? Were you ever in that situation? No, or did you always?
Um, so it wasn't my first business because I did provide occupational therapy services on a as a consultant in the past to the pediatric population. So I did have an LLC before for my occupational therapy business. So I knew for this venture where the goal was. I knew the goal wasn't to stay with just the online business. And I knew at some point I would want to have partners or even shareholders, because eventually my goal is to see my business be at least in the pink pages and be where people can buy stock options. So I premeditated all of that prior to starting this back in 2018. And so I got the correct business entity that I wanted my business to fall under, which is more of a DBA than an LLC.
Yeah. So, well, let's just say that we have, that's a question for the night. What's the difference between a DBA and an LLC? I think you probably, let's just go over it. A DBA is doing business as. Doing business as. So most likely, if you're gonna set up a DBA, you're gonna use your social. You go to the bank, typically if you work, like say you're in Boston, you go to the registrar and you said, I'm gonna start a business, and you pay $50, or wherever you live, like you go to City Hall and say, I'm gonna start a business at home. You wanna quote unquote register your business, especially the name. You said, okay, doing business as, and they say, okay, fine, $50. And then you go on, and then with that DBA, you use your social. 99% of the time people are using their social security number, and it's one of those entities where you are actually the business. So which means like the protections are not there for you. So let's say you were to get sued, which can happen here, because you made a mistake, you fed somebody the wrong food, or you maybe spanked a child at the school, God forbid, or did something crazy, right? God forbid, right? Then all of a sudden you're being sued. Guess who's being sued? You are the person, because it's doing business as. You are doing business as you, right? And that's the least expensive, but the most riskiest, I believe, of all the businesses, business structures. Whereas an LLC is a limited liability corporation or company. Limited liability meaning like your liability is limited because you actually registered not just your name, but you go to the Secretary of State and registered a lot of different paperwork, and you pay higher fees, right? And typically, if you don't know how to do that, you want to have an attorney or someone who's well versed. But most of the time, I would say to someone who would ask me, you know, I want to set up an LLC. Well, go to an attorney. Or even if you go to one of those companies online, was saying like, we can help you set up your LLC. I've used them in the past, but many of them have attorneys in house. You know what I mean? So they know what they're doing. You use an attorney for your LLC because your LLC is like an umbrella, protects you, protects your personal asset. I see I see your beautiful house, D, with a fireplace. That's where you live, right? God forbid you were to get sued with an LLC, that house is protected because it's separate from your business.
So
right?
I'm doing a DBA under my corporation, not directly under my social. I have a I think it's an S corp or
S corp
the C
or
corp.
C corp, yeah.
Yes, yes, and then DBA because I would eventually like to franchise my restaurant, and
Okay.
so the under the umbrella of Blue Mermaid
So a
Gourmet.
DBA, but the DBA is not the DBA that we just mentioned. It's the
No,
doing under the
under
corporation,
the
like a
corporation
subsidiary of the
of the
corporation.
corporation. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So it's good. I mean, many
Mhm.
corporations that we know of, they have multiple subsidiaries, like
Yeah.
businesses under them. But it's
Hmm.
still, they have the parent company that
Yeah, that's
really
the umbrella
protects them.
protection.
Yeah,
Yes.
umbrella. Yeah.
Hmm.
But the reason I mentioned the DBA because I know a bulk of the businesses that are opening are DBAs. And I've seen it because in working in taxation, you see folks coming in, and because they have DBAs, they get to open. They call it disregarded entities. They're disregarded because it's you. Even the
Hmm.
LLC can be a disregarded entity for taxation, but it's a disregarded entity. It's a one-person deal. Usually, you don't have partners. Unless you're married, your wife, your spouse is on your tax return. But it's very important, again, the difference between DBA and LLC is the additional protection that you get, especially if you're one person entity. You are the only person who are running it. It's very important. I would encourage anybody to not run to your city hall and open up DBA if you are able to sit with an attorney and get an LLC, because you don't want to lose your shirt. If something were to go wrong, you can lose your shirt if you don't have the limited liability corporation protection, because it protects you, it separates your business from your personal. Especially if you keep paying your fees every year, you have to keep paying your fees and have to keep your status current. If you don't, then you fall into that DBA status, even if you have an LLC behind the name of your business. And also with the LLC, typically you have a tax EIN number, an employee ID number. So it's separate. It's a separate number. You file your taxes with a separate number. It really keeps it separate. There are so many different, you had just mentioned the S Corp and the C Corp, nonprofit. Many people are opening up nonprofit organizations. You can have a nonprofit as a corporation, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Regine.
So, for the state of Massachusetts, I opened Excellence for All STEAM School Network, which is what Dessalines STEAM Academy is under.
Uh-huh.
As a nonprofit, we're considered a nonprofit
Correct.
corporation.
Corporation, yep.
And so we have officers, we have
Yep.
a board,
Right.
and so all those structures are in place for the nonprofit.
Yeah.
The business Attest Education was a little different. I wasn't sure yet who I wanted as a partner. Like I was just so careful, I think. And
Yeah.
so I was advised to do the LLC, but eventually that I could, if I wanted to, think about converting it to an S corp. I'm not interested in the C corp.
Yeah.
In
Well,
the
you
S,
might be, because the S Corp, you cannot take it overseas. You cannot have
I know,
partners outside of the country. So there are so many things that
but
we
there
just
aren't the protections of an LLC are not there for the S corp, which is the
correct.
reason why I stuck with the LLC.
Yeah, oh,
But
definitely.
if I have big dreams, D, I might
Yeah.
have to hit you up.
Yeah, yeah, it's always good. I love the fact that you say I started here and then I can gradually evolve to something else. There's always room for growth. When you are in business, you have to have short-term and long-term goals. and how you structure your business. Definitely depends on what you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, folks, I've been sick. At the end of the day, it's so important to know that building partnerships with strategic partnerships very important. If you're gonna start a business and you want to take it seriously, get yourself an attorney friend, someone who will charge you reasonable. Now, when I say friend, that's somebody who's not going to charge you. Because remember, if you're in business to make money, you have to treat everybody around you as such. They are also in business to make money. So you want to have someone that you trust. That's why I say an attorney friend who can sit down with you and help you set up your structure and also position you around people who can help you with your business. And also too, I had mentioned again and again that I worked in banking. In addition to have your business structure, how important it is also for those who are in business to not commingle business money with personal money. I'll let you speak and I'm gonna get something to drink, Dr. Regine.
Sure. I think in my case, really, because I have an LLC, it's a little different. But for me, it's really important that because I have two businesses, that the nonprofit money does not go anywhere but for the purpose of the nonprofit, because it's public money, right? It's people donating to you. So I am extremely careful.
Yeah.
So there was a situation, for example, where we have two business accounts for the nonprofit. And so there was a situation where like, okay, so we'll pay this and then we'll get reimbursed. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to deal with the bank and see if the bank can transfer, because the two bank accounts are in the same business name. And if we could do your transfers through the bank, but we're not going to do commingled business and personal at all.
Yeah.
For the LLC, you just have to pay yourself a salary and pay your staff a salary, which then you can use that money.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure, I mean, Dee, you've been in business a lot longer than I have, so I don't know if you have more to add.
When it comes to money in this country and laws, a lot of people don't realize certain activities is actually criminal. It's called embezzlement, mixing personal money with the business money. You have to have, first of all, you have to have a business account for the business separate from your personal account. And all monies that have to do with the business must go there. And then you can have sub accounts for like, different things, payroll, whatever. You can have other accounts within, you can have savings, because you don't want to give employees access to your business account. So the payroll, you need to make sure that's being monitored. So you know how much money is being transferred into payroll for payroll purposes and stuff. You have to keep everything separate. And as you said, if you're relying on the income from the business for your survival, you have to pay yourself a salary. You go on payroll like everyone else. You get a paycheck, and then you can cash your paycheck and use that as your personal funds, not the business funds. You cannot touch that. That has to be very disciplined. And I'll use this as an example where I had a friend called me and said, I need to borrow X amount of money because I'm having some financial struggles. And I told her I don't have the money. And she was very upset and said, well, you have all this money to open a business, but you don't have money to lend me. I'm not going to take money out of a business account that has nothing to do with me personally to lend out to a friend or a family member. I don't care who you are. I'm not going to jail for you. This is business. It's not pleasure. It's not personal. It's business. And you have that respect and that discipline where you respect the laws of the land. Otherwise, you end up behind bars. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's so important because at the end of the day, you could have multiple accounts, but all those accounts have to be allocated for specific needs within the business. You don't want to have, like I said, I worked in banking and I saw folks coming in writing checks to their grandmother. I had one lady I saw writing checks to her father for no reason. And at the end of the day, when it's time for tax season, you want to deduct expenses that are not deductible because the IRS. So we talked about strategic partnership, Regine, Dr. Regine. We talked about the strategic partnership when it comes to the IRS. You know, I'm someone who's very well versed in the area of IRS, and I'll tell you, they do not play. They can be the best partners, but they do not play either. So how important it is to have like a bookkeeper or an accountant. Again, the idea of being a jack of all trades and master of none. Is it important as you have your dreams and everything else to really say to yourself, okay, these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses. Let me find people to help me so that I don't get in trouble?
Yes, so that's actually one of the first things that I did. So I had a director of operations and also an accountant. I would say a bookkeeper on staff. And then we haven't done this yet, but we are in the next year going to hire an actual accounting company that then can go through our books. Um, both for the nonprofit and for the business. But both businesses have the bookkeeper and a director of operations in charge of those our transactions, our payroll, um, anything that has to do with money. And then on the board of the nonprofit, we have accountability. We have someone who's one of our board of trustees is a business analyst, another board member is an accountant, and they go through our books. And also when we do our taxes, they go through our taxes. Oh, you're on mute, Gabrielle.
Sorry, I think it's very important. Would you say that partnership? Because at the end of the day, if you are a for-profit organization, you're gonna have to pay taxes to the IRS and to your own Department of Revenue. And if you're not doing it right, and if you're commingling, and if you're being irresponsible with the finances that you have, the revenues that are coming in, or you are expenses that are being written off that are not legit, most likely you're gonna get in trouble. Because again, you don't want to have the passion and the plan and all that stuff in place and then go out of business because you were not responsible. So let's just say we are running out of time. I just want to say I know I've dealt with some people and they're like, oh, I've been in business for 10 years and the business is not making money. Do you know there's such a thing as a hobby when it comes to the IRS? Like if you're not making money, they will start classifying you as a hobby versus a business. And usually if you're not making money, you're definitely gonna go out of business. So we know business are in business to make money. How important it is, especially a restaurant, client acquisition. What are you doing? What are some of the steps you're taking to bring in clients and bring in revenue into your business?
So this is where marketing comes in very handy. This is where it's important for you to know who's your ideal clientele. Who are you trying to target? Because money's going into marketing can actually be a waste of money if you're not targeting your ideal clientele. From business planning, you should have already known everything about your clientele, your ideal client, their age, the demographics for that person, location, etc., and figure out who do these people follow on social media? Where do you go find them? How do you target them? How do you reach them? So when you're setting out your marketing plan, you can be very efficient with how your dollars are being spent and making sure you're getting a good return on it. So to go just a little bit back, I'll say this. In partnership, as you were saying, it's important to not partner with talent. It's okay to employ talent. Don't partner with people just because of talent. So you can employ an accountant. When you're starting a business, the first person you invest in is yourself. Invest in yourself in terms of doing the research, getting the education, understanding who does what and what is important for you to know. And then you can employ strategic people to help you get there, like an accountant, an attorney, etc. But don't partner with these people just because they have that talent. You have to understand the difference in the dynamics of it. That's all I wanted to say.
So in other words, just hire your friends, because at the end of the day, you're running a business to make money and you have to have clients and customers who can make you money. If you're not making money, you have a hobby. And typically when you have a hobby, eventually you're gonna be asked to close your business.
Because I'll give you an example, Gabrielle. I have a friend who's in the same line of business as me, and she was saying, if you come to her house, she'll feed you, she'll give you anything you want. But if you come into her business, you're paying for everything because
Correct.
this is business, my place of business. I'm a restaurant. You touch that water, you're paying for it. You take that juice, you're paying for it. You eat a burger, you're paying for it. But if you come to my house, I'll feed you. This is my home. So having people around you understanding and respecting
Correct.
your business is very important, especially in the food industry. Family and friends will think they can just come pick up food for free. Meanwhile, it costs you at the
Not
end
only
of the
the
day.
food industry, I think in the service industry too. How many times I've been, you're a consultant, Dr. Regine, right? You have friends and families. I have one quick question, right? One quick question. Can I see you tomorrow for one quick question, that realizing that anybody else would have set up an appointment and pay you for the hour that you're gonna spend with them. How important is it? I love that fact because many times, especially small businesses, they're not succeeding, they're failing because of the fact that those who are around them are not supporting. How important it is for you to set those boundaries, Dr. Regine?
I think in my line of work, it's been easier than maybe your line of work.
Mhm.
But I also use these opportunities strategically. So let's say that someone has an additional connection. So if we could barter, right? When I say barter, meaning like um, if we sit down for a consultation, then I set my expectations. We're clear about the expectations that I would like you to connect me with this and that person for the business. Um, my actual products, everyone has to buy them because I have a team that and we produce it. And so that has to be bought. But in terms of the consultation, because it's so dependent on networking, sometimes there are times where there are spaces where you are providing some of the consultation at no cost in order to kind of get your name out there, in order to be seen, in order to be known. And so, but you have to judge that and you have to be strategic about it.
Correct. There has to be room for give and take, but there has to be a soil that's gonna reap a harvest, because at the end of the day, there are those who will just come in to take. And that, if you have a family member who's coming in, they know that you don't have employee for the day and they're coming in giving you 3, 4 hours to help you out. Of course, they're gonna walk away with a plate of food for free, right? But someone who just drop by and say, hey, I'm here, can I have legumes, sauce pois, du riz blanc? No, it's not gonna happen. So so in terms of, like, the relationship with your clients, but also too, I know in business you cannot run a business forever by yourself. If you want to grow, you have to have employees. How important is that, to actually not just hire your friends and family, to really find quality? Because at the end of the day, doesn't it make or break your business depending on who your employees are?
It all depends on how serious you are about your business. You have to hire the best people who qualify for the job. That's what you have to do if you want your business to succeed. And when you're serious about your business, no one can disrespect your business. No one can call and say, hey, just give me a job just because I want a paycheck.
Yeah.
You can't, you're not a huge company yet. You can't hire 1,000 people. If I can only hire 10 people right now, I can't just give you a job. You show up, you sit, you tell jokes and leave. I need somebody who can perform to help the business survive. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, yeah. Someone who can cook for Blue Mermaid restaurant, right?
And
Not
someone who's trainable,
yeah,
because people cook
coachable.
their own ways and I have standards. And
Yeah,
your way might be a certain way, but my recipes are standardized. And I need to know that you're able to follow directions, unlearn some bad habits, and learn new ones. So you have to see, does that person have flexibility in their approach? If they're a rigid person, we're not a good fit, because I
yeah,
need some flexibility in there.
definitely.
I'm laughing because in my experience that, even when I was working in leadership roles at the district, and so I had a budget available to me, I could hire a team. I've had people say to me, well, I need a job. It's like, well, you're not an educator. what how do you plan on coming onto my team? Well, you hire other young people. No, I hire young people who are trainable and who also have worked in the field, whether they're tutoring or they're working for after school programs. So that's really important. I have made I have learned a lot over the last year and a half as well in terms of who to bring on to the team, both at a nonprofit and a test education, because at first I wasn't sure of the expertise that was needed, or I thought that some folks, because they had a desire, could be trained at to take on high leadership roles. And it's not always the case. In the district, I had a lot more resources. I had millions of dollars at my disposal to hire and to train. I had a HR office, I had a budget office, I had resources. And so when you're running a small business, every every second matters, every cent matters. And so I no longer have the leeway to say, oh, you don't know anything. That's okay. Right? Especially if I need someone, let's say I need the bookkeeper. You need, I can't train you on that, right?
Yeah.
Or someone to take over as my curriculum director, someone to be, we do STEM work, we do curriculum work, someone to support our STEM work. It has to be someone with the expertise. And so I've moved away from, because of as a small business, I've moved away from thinking that I can hire just anyone. And now I'm very, very careful and very strategic.
Yeah. I do believe a sure way to kill your dream and kill and destroy your business is to focus on being a pleasant employer by only hiring friends and families or people who are, nepotism is huge in corporate America, where you see those who are most qualified are being overlooked because, they're friends of the boss's wife. They're friends of a friend. They're being overlooked because if you run in a business, especially if it's your passion, it's your own business, you have HR is huge. You have to hire the right person, the right people so that you can thrive and survive. We talked about research and development. You cannot stay stagnant. You have to continue to learn. I can only imagine you already have a menu, D, but you add into that menu every day, right? What type of research are you doing right now? Do you go to other restaurants and say, hey, I can do that better? Oh, yeah, I like that. Let me incorporate that. Do you do that?
Well, I left no stones unturned.
Oh,
I
really?
I yeah. I checked out my clients. I checked out all their reviews online to see all the mistakes they're making and
Uh-huh.
improve on those.
Uh-huh.
What people are saying, you have to listen to the people. What are people saying? What are
Yeah.
people actually saying they enjoy? And
Yeah.
what are saying they're saying they don't like? And a
Mhm.
lot of it is in the areas of cleanliness, customer service,
Yep.
not even so much the food. The cleanliness and customer service is like tops. That's so easy,
Yeah.
right?
It's so
That's
easy.
easier because when you think about it, food is so personal. And
Yeah.
people are used to their grandmother's cooking, and you're never gonna replace that. But if you package it with a nice smile, someone walks into your door, how are you doing? How are you? How may I help you? They're not able to make a decision. A confused mind does not make a decision. They see so many options, they can't decide. I have a new restaurant. Would you like to try this?
Yeah.
You don't have to commit until you try. Try and see if you like it before you buy it. That person feels like you care about their business. You're
Yeah.
vested. The customer pays you. Whoever pays you is your boss.
Mhm.
Period.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're the ones who hand you the money. They're your boss. They're paying you. And your boss must be satisfied.
Yeah.
And so you have to interact to find out what it is you need to do to get to that satisfaction. Even some people might come in, I didn't get enough rice, or I had too much rice. How about you ask the person, is this enough rice for you?
Yeah.
Simple, right? So
Simple.
training your staff to carry that out, you
Yeah.
know.
I'm one of those people. I've been in customer service, working with clients all my life, and I don't necessarily believe the idea that clients are always right, like customers are always right. I don't believe that. But I think if you do what's right, you're always gonna get the rewards that you deserve. You're gonna have a thriving business. And if you find yourself in an environment, because some people will never be happy, and they're not being satisfied, it's best for you. I know in certain industries, it's best for you to fire that client so that you can move on and continue with your dream. So, but a restaurant, definitely you have clients who come in and they're like, I'm not happy, I'm not happy. What do you do? What would you do if you have a parent who comes to your school, that parent cannot be satisfied? What would you say to that client, that parent, Dr. Regine?
So that has not happened yet.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason why in 2 years that hasn't happened yet with the school is really because of how personalized we make education
Yeah.
for each child. And so we've had parents say, hey, my child needs. Soon as I hear needs, I jot that down because we need to meet that need, right? And so once that happens, once a parent sees that, and we're working with parents, and I work with the school director to make sure that every child's needs are met. Parents are satisfied. They're satisfied with the fact that we care, that we're providing quality education for their children. So, and as a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I started the school, because I was seeing in public education the parents saying, my child needs, I would like, this is not happening well, and parents being ignored. And we said we would not ignore parents.
Yeah. So we are running out of time. We could go on and on with this topic because business is such a vast, field that you can have endless conversation about this. But I just wanted to start. We started with the dream. We started with meeting a need, the seeing a gap, and we are ending with satisfying the very people that you saw the need for, and now you want to satisfy their needs. I just want to say that again, in business, when you go into business, you are thinking about your shareholders, the people who are going to own the company. Most likely it's you. You are in business to make money, reasonable return on your investment, I like to say, because some people are in business to gouge, but you want to be in business to make money, reasonable return on your investment. And also you are in business to satisfy your stakeholders, the people you're going to be serving, including your clients and your employees. It's very, and also society at large, because you're not in silo, you're not operating in silo, you're part of a community. One of the very last question that I have is, you come into the community, you're taking because your business is thriving. It's very also important to give back. Would you ladies agree to give back
Absolutely.
and contribute to organizations?
Absolutely. So right now, what we do when we have any food left over, we're currently donating to an organization that's servicing a lot of the people coming in, qui paguen papier qui légal yo. So they're at here. So we have them every night. We call them. They come. We package the food. They take back to these folks, and it's really nice to know that that food is not going to waste at the end of every day, and it's going to people who really, really need it.
Yeah.
It's small. We just started, but hopefully later on we can get more involved in the community. But definitely, if you're servicing the community and you show yourself that you are supporting the community, when they have fundraisers, you support, get your name on boards and stuff, the community will come back out and support you. It's important in business that you give just a little bit more than you take.
Correct.
It's really important. Give a little bit more than you take every time.
What are you giving back, Dr. Regina? I know you just started. You're giving so much. You're raising the next generation of leaders. But in addition to that, have you found a way to give back outside of that?
So the short answer is yes. But the nonprofit to me is the giving back piece. I could have just done a for-profit, but I've come to on your show and be like, hey, donate, because again, the nonprofit is not to make money, is really to serve a community. And as part of that effort, we also have what's called Engineering is Us. We support and provide engineering workshops to other young people in the community free of charge. We just received a grant from Voya Unsung Heroes to support that work. And so we're really excited about that. And I serve on certain boards, and I recently got in touch with a member. It's not, I don't know if it's a coalition, but it's really a group of people from different organizations trying to support the Haitian migrants in Massachusetts. Because I was like, I have to do something, at least with my expertise, I have to give back.
Correct. And you can do it individually or as part of your organization. I know for me, every single day I do it individually. And also, whenever I can, I volunteer to do a lot of free services for the community. Listen, we wanted to talk about minding your business today because if you have a dream, you should go for it. Someone did. That's why you have a job. If you look at the history of your company, yes, that somebody started it. Or even the Ivy League schools or the universities you've attended, somebody thought about educating, just like Dr. Regine. Restaurants, I go to chain restaurants and I do go to mom and pops down the street from me. They all started just like Dee has started her Blue Mermaid restaurant. There'll be many benefits. Yes, you as an entrepreneur could, if you survive, it is true that you may not survive, but if you do survive, actually, if you don't survive, it doesn't matter. As long as you've gone for your dream, yes, you would have learned, and then guess what? Pick up and do something else. But if you do, it will benefit not only you, your family, but also society. Again, the job that you have, the person who started it survived, and now you're still working for them. The dream will provide opportunities, endless opportunities. I just wanted to say again, minding your business matters. If you have something that you are holding on to and you've been thinking about it since you were a child, like this saying, like ever since I was a child, I used to go with my mother looking at her cooking at the restaurant at Marriott, and I thought, that's something I would like to do. Your dream will find you. Your dream will find you. Why don't you just relinquish and just do it? Do not, I would say, do not be shy. Just go for your dream. Go for it. And you never know where it's gonna land. And also, too, we only have one life to live, right? Why worry about what other people think about you? Just go for what you believe. Find strategic partnership. At the very beginning, we talked about if you have a dream, sometimes just like when you're pregnant, you don't want to go out and start telling people the very first time the doctor tells you, oh yeah, you might be pregnant. You want to wait for what? The second trimester? For those of you who've been right, you want to wait until the baby's big enough, your belly is showing before you start telling everybody, because not everybody's going to support you. But there are those out there who are going to want to support you. You want to build relationship. You want to stay close to those. Find advisors, find supporters, build strategic partnerships so that you can go ahead and make your dream come true, and then pay it forward by serving and helping community. So yeah, ladies, any last word? We have to say goodbye, and I just want to thank you again. I hope and pray that you success be beyond your wildest dream. Definitely I cannot wait to go to New York to go eat at Blue Members restaurant, and definitely Dr. Regine, you're doing such a noble job, and I cannot wait to continue to contribute to what you are doing. Anything else, ladies? We can say goodbye. Yeah.
I'd like to say in business, you never fail. You only fail when you stop trying. There are never any problems, only opportunities for you to learn and grow. So
Correct. Yes.
keep going, keep pushing.
Perspective. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a good night, everyone. Go for your dreams. Your
Good
dreams
night.
will come true. Yes. God bless you. See you next week for another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Hopefully, I'll be so much healthier.